Today's episode of Aquatic Wetline is brought to you by Oasis Aquatics. Find your Oasis today. Find your next fish at oasisaquaticsnj.com. Check out Oasis Aquatics on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome to Aquatic Wetline with Alex CARDINALE. Aquatic Wetline is a tropical fish and aquarium livestream that started out as a podcast in 2014 and is hosted by 30-year-old fish keeper Alex CARDINALE from Green Acres, Florida. Alex started fish keeping at the age of 12 and has kept monster fish, freshwater, and saltwater fish and has a lot of knowledge and experience in the aquarium hobby. Aquatic Wetline is supported and brought to you by Oasis Aquatics, an online and local fish shop in Hackettstown, New Jersey. Oasis Aquatics has cichlids, catfish, oddballs, and more. Find your Oasis today at www.oasisaquaticsnj.com. What fish topic does Alex have tonight? Let's find out. Aquatic Wetline with Alex begins now. Alex is live from his fish room in Green Acres, Florida. Take it away, Alex.
Hello, tropical fish keepers! Welcome to a special episode of Aquatic Wetline. I'm your host, the one and the only Alex CARDINALE. Tonight we have a very interesting topic here on Aquatic Wetline. Tonight I am going to discuss aquarium myths and misconceptions. If you've been in the aquarium hobby for a period of time, I'm sure you heard of some of the myths and misconceptions that I'm going to mention on today's show. For example, a lot of people in the aquarium hobby refer to the pleco as a sucker fish or as an algae eater, but not all plecos are algae eaters. Also, there's the myth of goldfish and bettas living in bowls, but can they really live in bowls? Those are just some examples of myths and misconceptions that we're going to talk about tonight here on Aquatic Wetline. So if you have any myths that you have heard and misconceptions that you have experienced in the aquarium hobby, please go ahead and post them down in the comments below, and we can react to them together. And Matt says there are plenty of misconceptions in the aquarium hobby. Yes, that is definitely true. There are a lot of them, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to agree with the ones that I mentioned tonight. Now, there's going to be some controversial myths and misconceptions that I'm going to talk about, but hey, that is okay. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with some personal misconceptions that I've seen in my years of the aquarium hobby. The first misconception is this. People say that monster fish don't belong in the aquarium hobby, but I personally disagree with that. It depends on what type of monster fish you are talking about. There are certain monster fish species that I disagree with being in the aquarium hobby. The pacu, for example, the arapaima, for example, and maybe even the iridescent shark and red-tailed cat, for example. But there are other monster fish that are totally suitable for the aquarium hobby, provided you have a large aquarium. Fish like Oscars, fish like lima chevanos, arowanas, bala sharks, and fish like that, they have a place in the aquarium hobby. What it all boils down to is that individual fish keeper doing their research before they purchase fish. Now, 9 times out of 10, that person going into a fish store is someone that is new to the aquarium hobby, and they see a baby Oscar or a baby pacu or a baby red-tailed cat, and they fall in love with that fish, and they end up bringing it home when it's too late and they didn't do their research. 9 times out of 10, that happens. But really, the fault and blame at that point goes to the local fish store and or pet store, because they did not educate them on how large the Oscar, pacu, or red-tailed cat can get. But most monster fish hobbyists, myself included, have learned through trial and error, and also through research and being in the aquarium hobby for a while, how big these monster fish can get. I, for example, will not get a pacu because I don't have a big pond large enough for a pacu or even a red-tailed cat. I love the red-tailed cat, but I can't have one because I don't have a pond. But that doesn't mean that I can't have a lima chevanos or any of the medium to larger growing catfish out there, like a arowana or a Niger cat. So when people say monster fish don't belong in the aquarium hobby, I have a strong opposition to that, because when we think about it, whatever the fish may be, we're taking it from the wild. So it could be a neon tetra, a cardinal tetra, a rummy-nosed tetra, or it could be a red-tailed cat. We're throwing them in a glass box when they're used to swimming in acres upon acres of water. So it really doesn't matter. It's all the same aquarium hobby. But the thing with monster fish is they just get a lot larger than most other fish, and some of them can be more aggressive than other fish. And I am kind of being biased here, considering that I myself am a monster fish hobbyist, but I do feel that monster fish do have a place in the aquarium hobby. If you don't believe me, then why are there so many exotic fish stores around selling unique oddball fish like datnoids, stingrays, arowanas, etc.? So that's the first misconception that I wanted to talk about on today's show. Let's see, there's a comment here. And Matt says, the best misconception is regarding heaters for tanks. Best advice I could tell you, and remember, 50 watts per 100 liters. So if you have a 6-foot tank by 2-foot by 2-foot tank, you need a 300-watt heater. I definitely agree with that. And Matt says, the myth that fish only grow to the size of their tank is my #1 pet peeve. Yes, we're actually going to get to that myth a little bit later on in the show. That's funny. I'm not going to repeat that on the air, but that's funny. All right. So now let's get to my next misconception that we're going to talk about. And this one is more of a personal experience because I've kept piranhas in the past a long time ago. So this misconception is about those bloodthirsty killers, piranhas. But they are not full-blooded killers. Hollywood made them out to be that way. But in reality, they are very shy, and they are very skittish fish in the aquarium hobby. You have to have a lot of live plants and decor for them to feel safe in the home aquarium. I mean, if you want really aggressive piranhas, then you would have to starve them for a couple of weeks or so. then you would have those aggressive, bloodthirsty piranhas. But it wouldn't be attacking humans. They'd be attacking each other and killing off each other in the home aquarium. Now, I am a big piranha fan. I'm a big Cerassalmonide fan. And Cerassalmonide is the entire piranha family. That's piranhas, that's pacu, and that's silver dollars. I love all Cerassalmonide species, so they're all unique in their own right. Piranhas are the more carnivorous and more aggressive. Their teeth are a lot sharper than pacus and silver dollars. A black piranha can bite off your thumb. That's how sharp their teeth are. But in the home aquarium, they are not full-blooded killers. Even in the wild, they're not full-blooded killers. Jeremy Wade has proven that when he jumped into a lake full of piranhas and he did not get bothered by the piranhas. Pedro Villegas, the owner of Aquascapeonline, has proven that on YouTube when he stuck his hand into a tank of pregnant red-belly piranhas. Piranhas are just another fish. They're another fish that has teeth. Now, if they've been starved for a while, if they haven't eaten for a long time, like in the wild, then they will attack living animals and living fish. But that's in the wild. We're talking about the aquarium hobby. Generally speaking, piranhas are well kept and well fed in the aquarium hobby, so they have no reason to be aggressive. So that is a big misconception from Hollywood. They are not full-blooded killers. But what they are is a very nice predatory fish and one of my favorite predators from South America. Very, very cool. Let's see here. Piranhas are just Oscars with sharp teeth. I definitely agree with you on that. Very, very well said. Yes, and Jeremy Wade sat in a kiddie pool with 100 piranhas, no problem. He was in it for a half an hour. Yes, Alex, totally agree. But here is another misconception regarding filters. Canisters are an easier option if you have a tank with a higher bioload or if you have a tank that's plumbed. Sump is your best friend. They can make your job easier and less heartache. That is definitely very, very true. All right, moving along, we're going to get to our next misconception. And this is not a personal attack on any pet store employee, but it is definitely true. The next misconception, as you can guess, is towards Petco, PetSmart, Pet Supermarket, and all of those kinds of stores. There is a misconception out there that Petco and PetSmart and Pet Supplies Plus and Pet Supermarket hire people that are knowledgeable about the pet industry. People are saying that they hire people for fish, reptiles, and other pets. Now, that might be correct a majority of the time, but it's not necessarily 100% true. There have been times where I have gone to these chain pet stores, and I have personally acted dumb just to see how much they knew about fish. Like I would ask them questions about Oscars. I would ask them questions about, the most basic bread and butter fish. And some of the answers I got was mind-blowing. They didn't even know what they were selling. And they didn't even know what fish was what that I was pointing out. So not every Petco and PetSmart employee is going to be knowledgeable on fish. So as an aquarium hobbyist, whether you're a beginner or an experienced aquarium hobbyist, just take what pet store employees are telling you with a grain of salt. Because 9 times out of 10, these employees are trained to make a sale. They're trained to advertise the best, newest aquarium products, the best featured fish. That is what they're trained to do. They're not necessarily trained to give you the best aquarium or fish keeping advice. unless the manager is a sincere, passionate aquarium hobbyist. On the other hand, there have been pet stores where I have went and there was a dedicated aquarium specialist there that made sure all his employees were knowledgeable on tropical fish. But 9 times out of 10, that isn't the case. So it's on you, the fish keeper, to do your research outside the pet store and research the fish you want before you buy it, because you are committing yourself to a fish. But that is just my perception, and sometimes perception is reality. And that is a very popular misconception that I see a lot on these Facebook groups. So let's take a look at some of our live comments here. Yes, I definitely agree. This is 100% one of the best things I've seen today. Always go to your local aquarium store, not PetSmart or stores like that. Yes, it's very important that we should always support our local fish stores, or even the online fish stores, places like Oasis Aquatics. We should always support them. I'm a big supporter of going to my local fish store when I can, instead of going to these big mom and pop stores. Wait, you mean I can't have my Oscar in a 10-gallon aquarium? You can if you want, but you might get ridiculed online for it. Oscars get as big as a 10-gallon aquarium eventually, so just make sure you get a large aquarium. Okay, let's see. Thank you for letting me know, Matt, because for some reason, Facebook, it doesn't show me who's commenting sometimes. So that user you keep just talking about, the local fish stores, is Josh Watts. Awesome to see you here, Josh. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, moving along. Now we're going to get to our next misconception, and then we're going to get into our myths for this episode. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Myths. So this one is one that drives a lot of fish keepers insane, myself included. People will tell you that goldfish and bettas can live in a fishbowl. Now, for many years, that might have been true, but now it is 2023. Technology has certainly evolved. There are small nano aquariums. There are nano aquariums as small as 2.5 gallons, 5 gallons, 7 gallons, 8 gallons, 10 gallons, 12 gallons, the list goes on and on. There really is no reason to subject a fish to a small bowl when you have all these small nano aquariums out there. And many of them have kits. Many of them come with kits that include a filter, a lid, a heater, and some of them even have decor and substrate in them. And I believe some of them even have fish food. So while it may be a little bit more pricey than an aquarium bowl, it's certainly more responsible. It's certainly more ethical for the goldfish and the betta. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you about goldfish, and I hope you take it away from this show, especially if you are a newbie fish keeper, goldfish do not have stomachs. And because they don't have stomachs, after they eat, they are going to continually create waste. And waste pollutes the water. Waste pollutes the water so much that it turns into ammonia, and ammonia at lethal levels can kill. It can burn skin, it can rot flesh, and it can damage gills. So we never want ammonia in any of our aquariums. But in a bowl, ammonia will build up significantly faster because there is no oxygen and there is no filtration in a bowl. So I am 100%, well, actually, I'm 1,000% against keeping goldfish in bowls. Besides that, goldfish get really big. The feeder goldfish that you get for 10 cents can get up to 2 feet in length. So way too big for a bowl. Now, while it is true that bettas can live without filtration, they will still do better in an aquarium. So if you want a betta, but you don't want a huge tank, then get one of those small nano aquariums. And they look, you can really decorate them up. Some of them even come with lights, and you can make them look nice. I actually am considering picking up maybe a 7 or 8 gallon nano tank, throw a betta in there, and some neocardina shrimp, and that would be a cool little display tank. But I've always been into big monster fish, but you never say never in this aquarium hobby. That's something that I've learned about the aquarium hobby. Never say never. I'm enjoying all the viewer interaction. It's very awesome. Yes, it's 2024. Sorry about that. If I said 2023, my mind is still 8 months away. But yes, it is 2024. Absolutely false. You never keep goldfish or betta in a fish bowl. I definitely agree with that. Matt's poking fun at me. He says a 20-gallon bowl, laughing my ass off, 2023. Just buy a 5-gallon tank. They're not expensive. You can get the whole kit very cheaply. And even Walmart and Target and places like that have them. So there really is no reason to have a bowl. Like Matt says, bowls are for smoking, not for fish. Or in my case, bowls are for eating ice cream, soup, and cereal. But you shouldn't be keeping fish in bowls. I definitely agree with that. All right, let's see. Here's our last misconception before we get into our myth section of today's episode. And this one is a pretty controversial one. It says mixing fish species from different continents or different biotopes will shorten the life of the fish. This is actually what I think. This is actually an opinion of some fish keepers, but I think it is false. As long as the fish that you have in the aquarium, as long as they have similar water chemistry and water parameters, they should be okay. Fish stores have done it for many years, and they have no problems. But obviously, when it comes to African cichlids and South and Central American cichlids, you should already know that's a big no-no, because African cichlids have hard water and South and Central Americans have softer water. So you just have to do your research. This is where research comes in handy. If there's a fish from South America that you want to add to your aquarium, and you have, let's say you have Central American fish in there, do your research. See what the pH level is for that fish that you want to keep. Now, in my aquarium, I've got fish from all over the world, but they all have similar water chemistry. For example, I've got a couple of North Thailand tiger datnoids from Asia. What else is in there? I've got a Synodontis featherfin from Africa. And the rest are from South America. Oscars, arowana, parrot, true parrot, that is, Severums, and whatever else is in there. They're all from South America. But like I said, they all have very similar water chemistry, or they're all very hardy enough that they can adjust to different water parameters. The Synodontis featherfin, believe it or not, does better at a pH of 7.2 to 7.4, although they can be kept in African cichlid tanks too. You would just have to slowly acclimatize them to the higher pH. So that is actually an opinion, but it could also be considered a misconception, because people have been doing it for years, and a lot of people have been successful. Obviously, like I said, higher pH fish with lower pH fish, because then you're just asking for problems. All right, so let's get to our live chat again. Misconception, classic point. Not many people know about the API Master Freshwater Test Kit. Is absolutely crap, and it could go off. Best test kit to try is the Sierra Master Test Kit. Better readings and way more accurate. Very true. Never take your water to a fish store to be tested. Test by your own test kit. Yes, you should always have a test kit in the aquarium hobby. Yes, I am a Red Bull. I am a bad boy rebel. That's funny. All right. So those are the misconceptions for this episode. Now we're going to get into some myths. These are myths, and they've been around for a while. And Matt pointed this out a little bit earlier on in the show. Here is one myth that I want to address. Myth: fish will grow to the size of their aquarium. Absolutely not true. False. Fish will not grow to the size of their aquarium. Fish will continue to grow, and they will outgrow their aquarium. And if they are confined to a tight, small space, the fish will get stunted and deformed, and it will have a very, very poor quality of life. Now, I have seen Oscars that were kept in small aquariums, and they were very deformed looking, and I always feel bad for them. Oscars are one of the fish that are often abused because a lot of people don't do research when they buy them. They're one of the fish that gets stunted the most. It's Oscars, pacu, and red-tailed cats that get stunted the most because they're some of the most common monster fish out there. People fall in love with them. They keep them in a small tank. They don't have enough tank space and enough water to swim. Large growing fish, they need plenty of water to swim and move around in order for them to grow and in order for them to thrive. So fish will not grow to the size of their aquarium. They will continue growing, and if they don't have larger space, their organs are going to shrink, their bodies are going to start deforming, and they're going to die. So I always tell people, get the largest aquarium you can, keep the fish for as long as you can. And if you can't provide a big enough aquarium for that fish, there's no shame in rehoming it to someone that can. There's no reason you should stunt fish just because you want to keep them in your aquarium. All right, let's move on to our next myth. This one's going to be a little bit controversial because I know there are plenty of people who love goldfish. But the myth that goldfish are good beginner fish, I believe, is false. While goldfish may be relatively hardy and easy to care for, they certainly are a dirty fish. Goldfish are going to constantly clog up your filters, and they're going to constantly cloud up their aquarium water. Now, a new fish keeper, a beginner, might not necessarily know how to clean the filters and how to keep the water crystal clear. They may not also know that goldfish don't have stomachs, so every time the goldfish eats, it's going to produce double the amount of waste. That is why I think goldfish are not beginner fish. There are plenty of other fish that are beginner friendly that don't promote as much waste or produce as much waste. Goldfish are a cool fish, don't get me wrong. I've got nothing against goldfish. I've even got them on the background of today's show. But simply, they just produce a lot of waste. And if this is a very first aquarium for someone, they're already going through the nitrogen cycle. Add to that goldfish and waste, and it could be a potential disaster for that aquarium hobbyist. So goldfish are definitely not good beginner fish. All right, so our next myth is also false. This one is for the lazy fish keepers out there. I'm sure lazy fish keepers have said this over and over again. But the next myth is water changes should be done every few months. No, water changes should be done at least once a week, in my opinion. It all depends on certain factors, like how long your aquarium has been up, how heavily stocked your aquarium is, what you have in your aquarium, how often you feed your aquarium. All that goes into how much and how often you should do water changes. But you should at least be doing 2 or 3 water changes a month. There should never be a time where you're only doing a water change every few months unless you have a saltwater aquarium. When it comes to saltwater, things are a little bit different than they are in freshwater. Saltwater, the reefs create a whole nother ecosystem, and sometimes with good coral and protein skimmers and stuff, you can go a while without water changes. But in the freshwater scene, it's a little bit different. Let's check out some of our live comments now. This is a great show. Goldfish are just like Joe Biden. They don't have stomachs, so they put out waste. And he doesn't have a brain, so he puts out bullshit. I definitely agree with you 100% on that. That is funny. And Josh says once every 2 weeks max for water changes, no longer. I definitely agree with you on that 100%. And Matt also says when it comes to rehoming fish, find a fish rescue. Yes, fish rescues are great, but also I know some local fish stores take trade-ins and they can find homes too. And Brian says also how many live plants you have. Heavily planted aquariums require less water changes because the plants suck the nitrates out of the water. Very good point. I forgot to mention that. And that's because I haven't really had live plants before. But I definitely would love to have a live plant aquarium in the future. I do know that pot hosts can also be used to help with nitrates. And I've been thinking about adding some pot hosts to my hang on the back filters behind me. I think that'd be tremendous help in my 125-gallon aquarium. All right. Let's see here. The next myth. Fish from the Blackwater Amazon will suffer in water with a high pH. This is finally true. Finally, our first true myth. Discus will suffer in African cichlid water. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Oscars will suffer in higher pH. Hole in the head will come to many South American cichlids if they're kept in a high pH. Cichlids like severums, walrus, chocolates, Oscars, they are not naturally designed to be in pHs higher than 7.4. Their bodies just can't handle it. It's very similar to how a saltwater fish can't handle being in freshwater or vice versa. The high pH will eventually do the fish in, and the fish will die, unfortunately. So sometimes when I go to local fish stores and I see a green Terra in the African cichlid tank, or I see Oscars in with African cichlids, I go bananas. I go nuts because it's just cruel to the fish, and it's setting a bad example to the potential fish keepers that may be interested in doing that, and they may try and replicate that at home. So don't keep South American fish in a higher pH. All right. Well, this next myth can be true or false depending on what your opinion on it is. This is called the drop and plop method. It's a way of acclimating fish. Let's say, for example, a fish popped a hole in your bag and you have very little water. Then you have no choice but to hurry up and get it into the aquarium. So this myth, dropping a fish into the water with a different pH or temperature will shock it and can kill it. It depends on how hardy the fish is. If it's a sensitive fish, I definitely wouldn't do it. But if the parameters and temperature are close enough, there's no harm in doing it. I mean, I've had emergencies where I've ordered fish online and there was about a ½ inch of water left, and I just instantly put them in the aquarium. Maybe I put a little bit of the tank water into the bag, but then I just instantly released them into the aquarium, and I haven't had a problem. As a matter of fact, just recently I had another datnoid come in, and because datnoids have sharp spines, it pierced through the bag. It was double bagged, thank God, but it pierced through the first bag, and he had maybe about a ½ inch of water, like only enough water to cover his gills. So that's how he stayed alive. So I quickly put the bag in the aquarium. I kind of played with it so water from my tank can get in there. And then as soon as he had enough water in there to breathe, I took my hand and I got him and I put him in the aquarium. And he's been doing phenomenal ever since. So sometimes in emergency situations, it is okay to use the drop and plop method. As a matter of fact, I know someone who breeds discus. And the way he acclimates his discus is the drop and plop method. After he lets him sit in the aquarium for a while, that's how he puts them in the aquarium. So it just depends on the individual fish keeper, I think, for this myth. Let's check our live comments again. Let's see. My 220 was fully planted. We're talking like 80 different plants. And I had a bunch of guppies and endlers, a bunch of feeder fish. And I changed that water every 3 weeks, and it stayed really nice. Saltwater tanks every week for water changes. Reason being, the salinity goes through the roof. Remember, keep your salinity levels at 1.024 and never chase numbers. You will fail and you will do your head in. Very sound advice when it comes to saltwater aquariums. Myth: heat kills ick. That is true. Higher heat with salt can be a remedy for ick. That's what I meant to say. Higher heat and aquarium salt can cure ick, but there's also medications out there that you could use. Myth: all fish keepers don't need to join Aquarium Obsession. Fact: yes, they do. Yes, you should join the Aquarium Obsession Facebook group. I never do, and I'm an African cichlid breeder. I acclimate them slowly. That's cool. And Matt says, yep, they were off for food. I knew it. That's okay. I like guppies too, but I never keep them. If I have guppies in my aquarium, it's because my arowana wasn't fast enough to get to them. All right, let's move on to our next myth here. Plecos are often called the sucker fish or the algae eater. Plecos make good algae eaters. As juveniles, plecos are great algae eaters. As juveniles, common plecos are great algae eaters. The problem with plecos, though, is as they get larger, the taste for algae goes away. They then need a varied diet, which can include vegetables, frozen food, and even meat. My common pleco that I have in my tank behind me, he's no longer a herbivore because every night I see him picking out pieces of shrimp and tilapia that my fish miss, and he eats that and he eats pellets. So as plecos mature, then they stop eating algae. But if you have algae in your aquarium, they will munch on it, but they need a varied diet. Besides that, common plecos can get huge. They can get upwards of 2.5 feet, I believe, and sometimes even larger. Right here in South Florida, we have thousands of plecos in our waters, and they are damaging the manatee population. They are sucking on the manatees, and it's causing skin damages to them. I used to work at the Palm Beach Zoo, and in every body of water, no joke, If you ever go to the Palm Beach Zoo, every body of water, you will see a group or herd of common plecos. You'll also see Mayan cichlids, Texas cichlids, and other invasive fish. I don't know if they did that on purpose or if those were all aquarium releases, but they are definitely at Palm Beach Zoo. A whole bunch of plecos. I had the perfect opportunity to catch one and bring it home, but I never did because I was on the clock. But plecos are all over here in South Florida because they're invasive, unfortunately. And they got too big for many fish keepers' aquariums. So are my birds, and I wear it all the time. Yes, algae. Algae, I mean, Alex, yes. And Matt said he didn't have to buy fish food for over 10 years. That's cool. Wow, 34-inch pleco. That's almost a 3-foot pleco. Or just over 3 foot. That's awesome. But not awesome if you don't have a big aquarium. All right. So now we're going to talk about the feeder goldfish myth for those that like to feed live. Here is a myth about feeder goldfish. This myth is actually true. If you feed feeder goldfish, or if you feed feeder fish like goldfish, which have high levels of thymidine enzyme, your fish will get sick or die. This is actually true. Thymidine enzyme is deadly to certain fish, Oscars included, arowanas included. Most monster predatory fish will get sick from goldfish because goldfish have the enzyme. Also, goldfish have a very low nutritional value. So you're better off feeding other live foods, which can include tetras, convicts, guppies. You want to stay away from goldfish and anything that is a barb. Anything that is a carp, you want to stay away from because they all have thymidine, and that could be deadly to your aquarium fish. So that is certainly a true myth. Yes, Josh is exactly saying what I was about to say next. Never, ever feed your fish feeder fish ever. There's better things to feed. You could feed crawfish. You could feed earthworms. Earthworms have a lot of protein and are great for tropical fish. Brine shrimp is also another option for live feeding. Brine shrimp is great. I'm glad you brought that up. Brine shrimp is actually a great option for live feeding. All right now we're going to go ahead and take a quick intermission. This intermission is being brought to us by our supporters, Oasis Aquatics, Little Egypt Aquarium Club, Aquascapeonline, and Fish Keeping for Kids. Also, during this intermission, you're going to hear about some upcoming shows that are very exciting. When I come back, I've got some more myths that we are going to talk about on this fun episode of Aquatic Wetline. Don't go anywhere, folks. The fun continues right after this.
So my name is Tom. I started fish keeping when my grandfather dug a fish tank out of the attic when I was about 5 years old.
So my name's Matt. I'm part of Oasis Aquatics. Been doing this for a long time. Started when I was about 7 years old. 22 years of doing this business.
I'm 29 years old now. I never stopped. There wasn't a day in between where I did not think about fish keeping.
I was doing a vet tech job for many years. Eventually I stopped that because this is my passion in my life.
Matt and I have known each other far too long, as many friendships should be.
You're like, you know what? We need a fish store. There's no fish stores around here. So we had to make it easy access for everyone, to have many varieties from the little small stuff for everyone to the monster fish keeper people.
No matter what it is that you're looking to do, we can provide it for you.
Aquascapeonline is proud to support Alex CARDINALE and Aquatic Wetline. Aquascapeonline is an online exotic freshwater fish shop owned by Pedro Villegas, who specializes in piranhas, stingrays, cichlids, catfish, and more. Aquascapeonline has been monster fish keepers' go-to place for exotic large growing predatory fish for over a decade. Looking for a specific type of piranha? Aquascape carries both Pygocentris and Cerasalmus. We also have Exodon tetras, wolf fish, African tiger fish, and other toothy aquatic monsters. Check us out today. www.aquascapeonline.com.
Little Egypt Aquarium Club is a proud supporter of Alex CARDINALE and Aquatic Wetline. Little Egypt Aquarium Club is an aquarium club in Redbud, Illinois, but it's also an online tropical fish supplies website. On the Little Egypt Aquarium Club website, you'll find tropical fish food such as repashy and flakes. You'll also find medications and breeding supplies and even live angel fish. Everything and anything you may need for your freshwater aquarium can be found at Little Egypt Aquarium Club. Orders over $200 get free shipping. Little Egypt Aquarium Club is giving a 10% discount by using the code ALEX. Remember, save 10% by using coupon code ALEX. Little Egypt Aquarium Club, my Shopify. Come.
Do you have kids who want to get a fish tank? Do your kids want to enter the aquarium hobby? The aquarium hobby is very relaxing and rewarding, but it can be quite the undertaking for a first-time hobbyist. Luckily, there is one young man who was once in your shoes. He decided to research and learn about the aquarium hobby, and used his experiences to write and publish a book for future kids entering the aquarium hobby. Introducing Fish Keeping for Kids, written and published by Brian Conway. Everything you need to know about the aquarium hobby in one book. Fish Keeping for Kids is a guide to keeping fish and other aquatic creatures. It uses easy-to-read language and images to help the information be easily understood. While it was written especially for kids 8 years old and up, it is a good guide for people of any age. This book covers all the basics and some intermediate-level topics to help someone get started and learn more about caring for fish and other aquatic animals. What do you get from Fish Keeping for Kids? Friendly. It was written by a kid for kids. Simple. Written in easy-to-understand language for kids and adults. Informative. Full of charts, graphs, and diagrams to make it easy to follow along with. Complete. All of the things someone should know when they start fish keeping. For more information and to purchase a copy of Fish Keeping for Kids, please visit www.fishkeepingforkids.com. That's fishkeepingforkids.com.
Do you have an obsession for aquariums and tropical fish? Well, so does Alex CARDINALE, and that's why he is now an admin on the wonderful Facebook fish keeping and aquarium group Aquarium Obsession. It's also why I'm so happy to tell you about this group. It is a place for every fish keeper, whether you are keeping freshwater or saltwater or even goldfish. We also welcome reptile and amphibian enthusiasts. Aquarium Obsession is one of the only Facebook fish keeping groups where our members come first, and we want them to feel part of our fish family. Members are encouraged to participate in group activities such as Aquatic YouTube Thursdays. Fish tubers are welcome to share any of their fish keeping or reptile videos on Thursdays. We also have knowledgeable staff including Alex. So what are you waiting for? Come find out what the obsession is about our group. Check out Aquarium Obsession on Facebook today and join our group. Type Aquarium Obsession in the search bar or go to this link, www.facebook.com/groups/JOMF group.
Hey fish keepers, Alex Cardinelli, owner and founder of Facebook Fish Keeping Group. Yep, we like fish keeping. My goal today is to invite you to join my Facebook group. Yep, we like fish keeping. We welcome fish keepers from all over the world. We welcome fish keepers of all ages. On Yep, we like fish keeping, you can post photos and videos of your tropical fish. You can ask tropical fish questions. You can share your Facebook fish groups on Mondays and Fridays. And you can also interact with other fish keepers. This group is just started, so help us grow. Check out Yep, We Like Fish Keeping on Facebook or click the link in the episode description. Fish keepers, I'm inviting you to another big interview. It's 1 year in the making. On Saturday, May 18th, a part of the 2-year anniversary for Saturday Live, I am going to be interviewing the owner of Aquascapeonline.com. My special guest for Saturday, May 18th will be Aquascape Online owner Pedro Villegas. Get ready to learn about Aquascape Online. Get ready to learn about piranhas and stingrays. I am really excited to have Pedro Villegas, the owner of Aquascape Online, on this 2-year anniversary of Saturday Live, Saturday, May 18th, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Mark your calendars and get ready to hear Pedro and I talk about tropical fish.
The next Saturday Live with Alex Cardinale is going to be awesome. Live Saturday, April 20th, 2024 at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Come join Alex Cardinale for some Saturday night fun. Alex will start the show with an announcement regarding our 2-year anniversary celebration episode of Saturday Live taking place on May 18th. Sergeant Slaughter will have facts on Uber's amusement park and Burger King. Topics will include the symptoms of a heart attack, and the question is soda bad for you will be answered. The Oasis Aquatics featured fish will be the lenticulata pike cichlid. Aquascapeonline featured fish is the Moto stingray. Aqua Alex's featured fish is the ornate shear. The animal of the week will be the red ear slider turtle. Learn about red ear slider turtles. Plus, what recipe will Chef Alex have? All that and more. Live Saturday, April 20th, 2024 at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on YouTube channel The Real Alex Cardinale.
Welcome back to Aquatic Wetline with Aqua Alex. Tonight we are talking about aquarium myths and misconceptions. Now we have 5 more myths that we are going to talk about here on Aquatic Wetline. So let's get right back to it. So our next aquarium myth is about rocks. A lot of people use rocks in their aquarium, whether it's rocks from outside, whether you go to a park and you go find rocks and you want to use them in your aquarium, then you can do that. But there is a myth out there that is true about rocks. And this is that said myth. Always boil rocks before putting them in an aquarium to kill all pathogens. Now, I'm not talking about boiling them until they explode or until they break apart. We're doing a light boil until there's little bubbles coming up, and that's it. Shut off the hot water and drain and take them out. By boiling the rocks, you are killing any pathogens that may be living on those rocks in the wild, because there are slugs, there are worms, there may be reptiles that use those rocks, and we don't want any of those pathogens entering the aquarium. So it's always important to boil the rocks for at least 10 to 15 minutes, shut them off, place them in cool water, and then you are good to go, and they can go right in your aquarium. This next myth is also true, and this next myth says driftwood in an aquarium can significantly drop the pH. Yes, that is true. If you have hard water and you have high pH, driftwood will significantly lower your pH. Now, the downside to that, you cannot use driftwood in an African cichlid tank. But that's also a plus for me, because then I can go purchase that decorative carob sea life rock. The purple life rock is very beautiful, and it'll make your African cichlid color pop, and they will look stunning. So driftwood you only use for South and Central and Asian fish. You don't want to use driftwood for African cichlids, because it'll bring the pH all the way down to 6.4, 7.2-ish. That is why driftwood is sold out there. Yes. And also, driftwood will kill your KH level. That is very true. Very, very true. That's why you want to add driftwood to an African tank. You only want to add driftwood to either a South, Central American, Asian, or American tank. So let's get to our next myth. This is a myth that's been in the aquarium hobby for as long as I have been in the aquarium hobby. And it is about salt, aquarium salt. Salt added to the aquarium assists in the healing of injuries, promotes the formation of slime coating, and improves gill function. Yes, that is absolutely true. If you have fish that have injuries or fin nips, aquarium salt will help. Also, salt can be used for illnesses like ick. So salt does have its benefits, but you don't want to use any salt that has iodine in it. You want to use either aquarium salt that you can get from your local fish store or pet store, or you're going to go kosher and you're going to get kosher salt. You can find kosher salt at Walmart and basically any grocery store that you go to. Morton makes a really good kosher salt. Now, the price of inflation has drastically brought up the price of kosher salt. I can remember a time when kosher salt was 75 cents, and that was probably a decade ago. Now, kosher salt is about $3, so it definitely went up within the last 10 years. But it's definitely worth having on hand because it could be a big help for fish injuries or forming of slime coat, gill function, and also it could be a big help for ick. So it's always good to have salt on hand. Now, I know there are some fish keepers who are against using aquarium salt, and that's fine. That's why there's Melafix out there in the aquarium hobby. But kosher salt and aquarium salt is a lot cheaper than Melafix. Now, this next myth is completely false. It is completely false because it just depends on what you do. This next myth is, I saw this earlier today and I completely disagreed with it because I kept salt water and I had a really good time and I didn't break the bank. But this next myth is salt water is difficult and expensive. It is not difficult. It is not much different than fresh water, other than there are a few things you need to do differently. You need to check your salinity on a regular basis. You need to pre-mix your water when you're doing water changes. So you have to have your fresh salt water ready before you do your water changes. And you have certain equipment that you have to have, like a refractometer or a hydrometer, a protein skimmer. So it's not difficult. It's very similar to fresh water. And if you want a simple saltwater aquarium, fish only or fish only with live rock would be the way to go. If you're entering saltwater from the freshwater hobby, I personally would recommend going with fish only with live rock to get you started. And as you get knowledge in the saltwater hobby, then you can get into reefs and inverts and coral. But saltwater can be expensive, yes. It can be expensive because a majority of the fish in the saltwater hobby are still being wild caught, although more and more and more of them now are being captive bred and captive raised. There's a lot of clownfish, there's a lot of tangs, there's some angelfish that are now captive raised. So that's why some of them are expensive. The tank raised and captive raised fish are going to be more expensive than your wild caught fish. And sometimes saltwater fish stores, they don't have guarantees on their saltwater fish. And that could be for a variety of reasons. They're expensive, but some saltwater fish are sensitive. So you have to know what you're doing in a saltwater aquarium. But once you get the gist of it and you know how to acclimate fish properly and take care of fish properly, you should have no problem. If I could keep salt water, then so can't you. I've been a freshwater guy for many years, but in 2016, I got my first saltwater aquarium, and I enjoyed that for 3 or 4 years. And it was an awesome, awesome aquarium. I miss my saltwater aquarium. I would say my favorite saltwater fish would be the one-spot foxface, but you can't go wrong with the dogface puffer. They are absolutely adorable. So saltwater is not difficult. Expensive, it could be expensive. There are some affordable saltwater fish out there, though. Not every saltwater fish is going to break the bank. Foxfaces are affordable. Flame hawks are affordable. Most gobies are affordable. Puffers are affordable. Clownfish are very affordable. So it's definitely something to consider if you've been in freshwater for a while. I think you'll enjoy the saltwater side as well. All right, let's check the live comments. I see we have a lot of live comments here. Let's see. Matt says, a great chemical for injuries is Easy Life. That has over 30 benefits from it. Chris Howell is watching. Hey, Chris Howell, how are you? Everybody here is in Aquarium Accession Admin Team Water, LOL. Use RO water to mix salt for a saltwater tank. Yes, RO water is the best water to use because if you use tap water, you're going to get a lot of algae, and you don't want that in a saltwater aquarium. Other words known as a FOLR tank. Very nice. And drip acclimate your saltwater fish. Yes, with saltwater, you have to drip your fish. You can't just drop and plop them like you would a freshwater fish because saltwater are a little bit more sensitive and they need to be added. And yes, join a reputable saltwater fish keeping group like ours. We have professionals that deal 100% in saltwater. And emperor angelfish for me, they are awesome, but always research the fish you want to keep. Emperor angels are very, very beautiful. All right, we've got one final myth. This is a myth that I saw on Facebook earlier this morning, and this is a perfect myth for Josh to answer because I really don't know the answer to this because I haven't kept African cichlids yet. But the myth is African cichlids are too aggressive. Now, there's a way you could probably combat that, a large aquarium. The larger the aquarium, the more space there is for your cichlids to get along. So African cichlids are very cool. I like the peacocks, the haps from Lake Malawi, like the Lake Malawi eye biter, the compressiceps cichlid. I probably butchered that name, so you can laugh at me for that. What else? The Malawi trout, the Malawi gar. So as you can see, I've been studying the Lake Malawi predatory haps and peacocks. But on the Tanganyikan side, I like the blue Moba frontosa. And luckily, my friend Tom at Oasis has some in right now. But they're one of the most expensive frontosas out there. So I have to start saving up for them. But they're a great size. They're already 6 inches. So that's already, that's like the teenage years for a frontosa. So that's a good size to get them, and they're already accustomed to tap water parameters. I believe they're wild caught from Kigma or somewhere in that area. I'll have to ask Tom when we do our show on Tuesday. But African cichlids, very cool fish, very colorful. Yes, the mbunas can be the most aggressive. So if you were considering getting Africans, I would say go with peacocks and haps. And frontosa and Lake Tanganyikas are very nice as well. Let's see what Josh says in the comments about African cichlids. Okay, so to stop aggression with Africans, rule of thumb, 1 male to 5 females. That is true. That's a good advice. That way the male can have all the females to himself, and he won't have to fight with other males, just like humans. It stops aggression, or you can keep all males only. It's all about trial and error. And Matt says, all male Mbuna overstock work for me. Less aggressive behavior. So if you keep all the same sex, you should have no problem. Thank you guys for your input on that. I haven't kept African cichlids yet, but I can't wait to keep them. It's a Deuce Gigolo cichlid tank. Gigolo. I like that. All right. And that is tonight's episode of Aquatic Wetline. It was a blast. I had a blast tonight. I want to say thank you to everyone that participated live. This has been one of my most live viewed episodes of Aquatic Wetline in some time, so thank you very much. I'd like to thank Matt and Josh from Aquarium Obsession for watching, and I want to thank everyone from my other group, Yet We Like Fish Keeping, for watching, and everyone from YouTube for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Aquatic Wetline. Be sure to hit that thumbs up on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Real Alex Cardinale, for more amazing fish keeping content. Happy fish keeping, everyone. Aqua Alex from Green Acres, Florida, saying good night, everybody.
Thank you very much for watching this live stream of the Real Alex Cardinale YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed the show. I want to thank you all for your patronage for the last 10 years. It's going to be incredible riding into the future with more awesome live streams and videos. Aqua Alex Cardinale, Chef Alex Cardinale, WWE fan Alex Cardinale, Detective Alex Cardinale, and the Real Alex Cardinale would like to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this live stream, please smash that like button. If you are new to my YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button and become a legendary viewer and a legendary Cardinale. Check out the Real Alex Cardinale on social media. Facebook Alex Cardinale, American Alex. Instagram instagram.com/Alex Cardinale 93. Fish keepers, please join our amazing Facebook fish keeping group Aquarium Obsession. Check out and support Oasis Aquatics, our amazing supporter since July of 2023. www.oasisaquaticsnj.com. Follow Oasis Aquatics on Facebook and Instagram. Have a good night and thanks for watching. Stay legendary.